So Daniel is a partnership specialist with the US Census Bureau, and I'm not quite sure what that means.
Yeah, I'll definitely give you a lowdown of it. Basically, the U.S. Census is basically a population count. There's a questionnaire that goes out to every single household, and that's going to take place in April 1st. So instead of April 1st as April Fool's Day, it's actually going to be Census Day. It is a questionnaire. There's 9 questions that are being asked. It's about your household. It's very basic questions about your age, your ethnic background, how many members of your household are living with you. It's just basic statistical data. The reason why it's so important is that, number one, there's federal money that's involved here. Since your show is about finance and money, right? We're talking a lot of federal dollars here. It's 675 billion US dollars.
Billion.
675 billion each year for the next 10 years. So our job is basically to count everybody once, only once, and in the right place. That's basically our motto. So the first one is federal funding. California obviously has the largest population of all the 50 states, and so we definitely want an accurate population count so that we can get a fair share of that federal funding. That money would be used to go to all sorts of programs ranging from WIC checks to Medi-Cal, Medicare. It'll help build schools, libraries, school-free lunch programs, after-school programs. It can also fund senior centers, you name it. It funds a lot of different public and social services.
And is the funding from the federal government to different cities, to different organizations?
So it filters down to the states. Yeah, so the federal government will distribute it to the states, and then the states will distribute it down to the counties and the localities.
Now I understand that this is only every 5 years, 10 years?
This is only 10 years. So we only have once in every 10 years to get this right. So the issue has always been a lot of the immigrant populations, especially the ones that are very hard to reach, hard to count, haven't been as involved. And so areas such as Rosemead, just further down south in El Monte, South El Monte, Pico Rivera. There have been a lot of communities that were very undercounted in 2010, and because of that undercount, those communities in the state of California didn't receive as much money as we could have. You know? So that's number one. It's about money. Second is it's about our representation as a state, meaning congressional House seats. So the larger the population, the larger the population, the more congressional House seats that we could acquire or lose, depending on the accuracy of the count. And so, if we have an increase in population, which we did in 2010, I believe we should have increased the seats. But from 2000 to 2010, we did not see any increase in our congressional House seats. So,
now I understand that the purpose of the census is to count every person who's here, regardless of citizen status, regardless of immigrant status, regardless of anything, homelessness, or
even if you're homeless, you have to be counted. As long as you're a living, breathing body living in the state of California, you have a home.
Man, woman, and child.
Yes, and you're living here, not a tourist, not a traveler. then you are entitled to that fair share of the money. And so that's what we're trying to get out. The immigrant community has been very difficult to reach. For obvious reasons.
Sure.
And so it's people like us, especially who do speak, I speak Korean, for instance, and we're trying to reach out to the more ethnic diversity communities so that they can participate. And so we're trying to get a whole team together, trying to translate things and interpret in different languages to make sure every single person is counted.
So how do you do that? Like you said, the immigrant community has been somewhat hidden or difficult to reach.
Right.
Is that because of a language barrier? Is that because of immigrant status? Or is that because of family? All kinds of different things?
Yeah, there's multiple reasons behind it. Number one, I think the language barrier definitely is one of them. Number two, just people don't know. They don't really know how the federal government works, how it affects them. And there obviously is a mistrust with the federal government as well because of that. So trying to go beyond and trying to win over that mistrust has been one of the challenges that we've been facing, which we're trying to overcome with the languages that we speak now and the diversity that we represent.
So you must be hiring a lot of different people from different language backgrounds.
Yes, I was going to actually get to that. We are actually hiring a lot. So if you go to 2020census.gov/jobs, we're actually hiring a whole lot of positions, and more so as the deadline approaches. We need people to go knock on doors, to be enumerators, to basically go out and do the surveys.
Right?
Yeah, basically. And it pays very well. We start at like $17 per hour,
I'm ready.
and we go up. We can go up till like 20 in the later 20s, and so it is a good paying job. Yes, the first condition was that you had to be a U.S. citizen and you had to be 18 years and older. But California has actually offered a waiver for that for immigrants who have legal status that can speak other languages. So based on your language needs, they will pull you in a group of from A to B. You'll be in the B pool. But if they need a specific language, then they can hire you. So that's
great, Daniel. I'm going to date myself a little bit here. Sure. When I was in college in 1990, I was a census taker.
Oh, fantastic! So you have history with us. Great.
A little bit of a history with you, yes. Great. And it was in Chicago. However, they started the counting, I think, in either February or October, something like that. And I had to trudge through the snow, and I had to trudge through the freezing cold and
Chicago.
In Chicago suburbs, yes.
In the suburbs,
right. But at least back then, people were a lot more willing to open their door and to talk to you.
Yes, it's been much more difficult.
It was a very, as you say, white bread suburb, and a county and everything else, which was fine, except that also it was an area where the houses were somewhat far apart. So I definitely got my exercise.
Well, I'm glad you did. I'm glad that's why we need people like you and like ourselves to be dedicated to reach those populations. And
you get kind of glad it's a part-time job, and it.
Yeah, and it's very flexible too if you apply online. And so
I had a friend who did that 10 years ago. He was a supervisor and loved it.
Oh, nice. Hopefully she's still around. Yeah.
She's in Florida now, and she's doing it.
Yeah, that's great. And so this year, this upcoming year, I should say, the census is going to be the most easily accessible one ever. Again, we only have 9 questions. Right, it's very simple. You can do it online, the questionnaire. You can do the questionnaire over the phone. And you can also do it by traditional paper. And also, if that doesn't work, last resort is we send out an enumerator to knock on your door. But we don't want to go that
far. That's not, because I think back then was the first thing, because we didn't have the internet, didn't have that stuff.
Right. And so the third
it's much easier now.
Right, it is. And so the third reason that the census is so important is redistricting. So depending on the population count, our districts will become redistricted in 2021. And so we all know what that means. That means our area codes are going to shift, like where we send our kids to schools can change. Our zip codes might change. There's a whole lot of meaning behind that. And so that's another huge impact of the census. So ultimately, to sum it up, the census is really about money. It's about power, and it's about our representation. And so a lot of people, we don't realize that, and especially with the 2020 presidential elections coming up, state, local elections coming up, we're fighting for a lot of different voices out there. We're under a lot of competition, and so we're trying to get out early. We're 6 months out, and we're trying to get all the communities involved. I'm actually very glad that you interviewed Dr. Daniel with the churches and with the realtors here, because those are the types of people that we're trying to partner with to get the word out to those hard-to-reach communities, the people who speak those multiple languages. And so,
and also let them know it's not a threatening thing at all.
No, it's not a threatening thing. Yeah, that's the thing.
I mean, that was the biggest thing.
Yes, there's a misconception about that. There was a great fear about that because of the whole citizenship debacle. But there's going to be no citizenship question. There's no fear of that. Also, another thing about confidentiality, your data is protected by Title 13 of the U.S. law, and that law specifically states that if any one of us, or the partnership specialist, or anyone in the Bureau releases that information or shares it, we will be fined several hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think it was $75,000, $125,000, and we could be in prison for 5 years, or both of those. And so we take this very, very seriously. There have been attempts in the past to actually access this information for security reasons and whatnot, but Title 13 has blocked all of that and has protected everyone's information. So this information cannot be shared with the CIA, with the NSA, with the FBI, with ICE, with the Department of Homeland Security. No one has access to this information. It's solely statistical, and that's what it'll be used for. So up until April 1st, we're just pushing really hard. Just working with the communities and asking everyone to really partner with us.
So it starts April 1st or ends April 1st?
So April 1st is considered the census day. That's when we basically start counting, getting all the data in. But you will be getting flyers and postcards starting from March 12th. And then continuing on, you have reminders up until the April deadline. And afterwards, if you still haven't filled it out, that's when we'll send follow-up postcards. And then by, I believe, May, June, July, that's when the enumerators will start to kind of form and be sent out. We don't want that to happen.
No, but it's a lot better than filing taxes in April.
That's another huge mountain we have to climb. But.
Yeah, it's good. So it's another one of those things that you don't even realize how many different things impact you, impact money, impact your community, and impact potentially your wallet, not in a real direct way, but an indirect way. because the number of people who are here and the number of dollars that can come to you from the state because of the census count will affect your family, your children, your community. Right. Like he said, like Daniel said, your libraries, you know, and even down to the potholes in the streets. It can be.
Yeah, and since we were talking about helping children with the previous interviewers, actually the most undercounted group in 2010 were the 5-year-old folks and younger. So the 5-year-old children and younger were the most undercounted, and I guess
undercounted. Oh,
yes,
okay.
And I guess the maybe adults felt like children, you know, didn't need to be included. There was not enough clarity for that, and so most of those children were left out with the census. Again, a big chunk of money that we could have used. So this, so
this they don't understand it's for their children.
They don't understand it's for children, right? But it's so critical, and so that's why we're reaching out to any type of location that will partner with us, especially hospitals, nonprofits, preschools, after-school program places, academies, institutes. We're reaching out to everyone to make sure they get the notice.
That's wonderful. And the other thing too is that information is the thing that removes fear.
Yes.
Right. The more information that's out there, the more you know about it, the less afraid you are of any result, of any consequence like we were talking about. The data being shared, it's just not going to be happening.
It's not going to happen. It's like stepping into the light almost, instead of shying away. It is liberating because this is data that will serve our communities and help our communities, and that's what this Realtor business is doing, is serving the communities. The data of the census is used to really help our communities because that data could be used, for instance, potentially to figure out where we could build a new school, or where we could build a new grocery store, or we can see where the migration trends are happening so we can build more homes in that location. So the census data itself actually is a gold mine for statisticians and also people who want to do research about certain areas. We can figure out like long-term trends, environmental trends, health trends, you name it. Any type of data that involves people in the United States, it will tap into the census. And so it's
and what better way than to partner up with realtors who are the ones who are talking to the people who are living in condos, renters, maybe looking to buy something. They're sort of like on the front lines.
Of course, they can see where the trends are to see which real estate prices will increase, and that census data could be very helpful for that.
Me too. Well, it's been wonderful talking to you, Daniel. I hope you come on the show and have a little talking about the census, and as we get closer to the time where the official count starts, definitely want to talk to you about that too.
All right, sounds good. Just invite me next time.
I definitely will.
You're in a jiffy.
This is great. That was again Daniel Lee, the US Census Specialist, Partnership Specialist. Stuff is partnering with Your Home Sold Guaranteed, and with Julie Talks Money, KCAA Radio. I really appreciate you talking to us.
Thank you so much.